Hey, what's up guys, MerK here. With the CDL entering its first ever postseason, we wanted to get prepared by highlighting the three main roles you'll be seeing in action. We'll be covering everything from the basics to identifying points of interest on the map to hearing tips right from the pros. In this episode, we'll examine the fast, flashy, and frenetic SMG players. So buckle up, COD fans, it's time for roll call. Right off the rip, let's think of the SMG role as broken down into two sub-roles, an entry role player submachine gun and a slayer submachine gun. The role player SMG you might as well call the objective player. You get on the hills early and act as your team's eyes. It's your job to put your body on the line and do the dirty work. Your main focus is getting the opponent weak and drawing their gun attention to you.
So the biggest thing for an objective SMG probably is selflessness, being always selfless on the map and not afraid to go in first or hop on a flag when it's going to be very risky that you might die or that you might get naded off the flag. So that's definitely the biggest key for an objective SMG is selflessness.
What makes an entry super unique is they kind of just are always throwing their life in certain situations like bait for their team, and sometimes they can manage to pop a 2 or 3 piece, and that is huge for the team.
You're the first one checking for danger on your team, and therefore generally the first target the enemy will see. If you play this entry role, you need to be cool with dying a lot, and sometimes success is simply defined as a 1v1 trade and providing good intel to your team.
One's a Havok. He's going A. Spawn back A. Nice, Chris. On me.
So how can you safely fly in first for your team and maximize your life? One task is improving your movement. You want to be a hard to hit target and move about as fast as possible. Double time as your perk 1 helps with that as it doubles the duration you can sprint. Add a combat knife as your secondary weapon and you'll tactically sprint even longer. In fact, with a combat knife you have 4 seconds of additional tac sprint as opposed to only 2 with a pistol. And if you run double time and a knife together, you will net 8 additional seconds of tactical sprint time, increasing your chances to hit the hill first. Another skill a role player submachine gun needs to have is hill knowledge. When it's close to the last 30 seconds of the hill, you need to be mindful enough to start rotating to the next point. You might have even heard this be called the route man during a CDL broadcast. Look at the bottom side of your minimap. Yeah, you see a seam. Great job, Obs team, able to catch this. Havok versus a seam. The route man gets paid once again. Sometimes they're looking to secure that point early, but other times they're simply trying to swap their team spawns to be better on that fresh hill.
I know Cammy's there with him, but
look at Havok. He's been in this position the entire time. Florida have done such a good job. It's basically been a 4v5, and there's the spawn flip. What a play by Havok. He just snuck his way through, but Havok with the heads up play. He got there with probably 20-25 seconds left. The game's UI will only show where the current hill is, so do that extra homework and learn where the next hill will spawn so you're always rotating early for your team.
My role for the Florida Mutineers is pretty interesting. I'm a sub player. I like manipulating the map in our favor. So I'll always kind of be thinking ahead, trying to sneak through, but I kind of just think about my role as making the map easier for everyone else so we can get the win easier.
Let's talk about that other SMG role, the SMG Slayer. Your job is right in the name, slaying the enemy and dealing large amounts of damage. These are your flashy players like Scump and Simp, who are known to drop 40+ kills a map. As a Slayer, you often follow your entry SMG in, benefit from their info they share, and put your gun skill to the test. As the Slayer, after your team secures an objective, you should be looking to cut off enemy respawns and any entry routes your friendly ARs won't be able to take cover. Let's take a closer look at the map that's been called an SMG's paradise, Gunrunner. Gunrunner allows SMG players to succeed because it's full of sneaky rush routes and awards more aggressive play up close. Let's hear from one of the masters of the map, Envoy of the Chicago Huntsmen.
Personally, I have to say Gunrunner is going to be the easiest map to play with a sub. In this current meta, we usually see 4 SMGs, sometimes 3, but a lot of teams like running 4 SMGs on that map because it's very close quarters, and when you got areas like pipes, crates, bathrooms, green, the gunfights are going to be very up close and personal, and I like to think of it as a sub's paradise. And if you're playing that ratty play style like I've talked about before, it's going to be very rewarding.
When switching to the search and destroy game mode, the pace of play for an SMG can slow. as there are no respawns. Sprinkle in a couple enemy snipers and ARs praying in power positions and you'll be sure to make only deliberate movement. However, on offense especially, you'll still be expected to rush ahead and take the fight to your opponent. As an SMG, you're fighting over valuable real estate right around the bomb sites, looking to give your team an advantage. Teams in the CDL use 2 smoke grenades in S&D, and those are carried mostly by the SMG players. This can be used most effectively by smoking crosses you have to dart through, or if you're on offense, the bomb itself.
My SMG role really doesn't change much when it comes to S&D. I mean, obviously I have to slow down compared to respawn sometimes. I still am always getting those first engagements when it comes to my role in S&D, but I do have to play slower, obviously.
So the SMG role changes a bit when you hop into S&D, mainly because there's a lot of spots on the map that are very unpredictable to be at, and that if an AR catches you off guard in a very split second, they can beam you and melt you, because the ARs tend to kill faster than a sub at a farther distance. So if they see you before you see them, it can be catastrophic, and you could be throwing your life away pretty easily. So when it comes to S&D, I like to think that being an SMG player, you got to be super ratty and move around the map quick so no one can read you.
The SMG role is not for everybody due to its fast-paced, aggressive nature, but it's arguably the most important in this COD title.
What would be my advice for SMG players trying to get better? And I always say, just play the game as much as possible. Put yourself in as many situations as possible, so when they happen in a match or you're playing a tournament, you've been through that situation before and now you know what to do because you've played in it before. So my number one advice is play your role as much as you possibly can, and through time you will get so much better.
You must be the masters of movement and are responsible for being the entry players on the objective. If you don't mind that pressure, there's a lot of glory to be found in this role. If you want to watch the best in the world play an SMG, keep an eye during the playoffs on aBeZy from the Atlanta FaZe, Envoy from the Chicago Huntsmen, and Havok from the Florida Mutineers. This has been CDL Roll Call. Class dismissed.